So we got a lot of interesting news coming out of San Diego Comic-Con. One of the most interesting new additions to the MCU is Spider-Man Freshman Year, an animated cartoon on Disney Plus, basically detailing Peter's origin in the MCU. So apparently it's going to be like a what-if scenario, basically, where it's going to be like the MCU Spider-Man, but in like the what-if setting, kind of almost like the what-if show, which they recently did, which I really liked and really enjoyed. The art style, it seems to be very much, it kind of looks like a mixture between the 90s Spider-Man cartoon and a bit of the 60s one. It kind of has that kind of like blue black kind of shading on certain characters, which is very similar to like the 90s cartoon. Like for example, Venom had like a bluish red tinge outline to him, where instead of just like the regular black symbiote costume. So I really like the designs of the characters so far. What's a bit confusing with this show though is that some of the characters are very interesting choices. So for example, what really confused me, I thought, okay, this is going to be like an origin story for the MCU Spider-Man, but no, it has Norman Osborn, Scorpion, and Doc Octopus, or Doc Ock. By the way, does everyone call him Doc Ock or Doc Octopus? I call him Doc Ock because it just sounds an easier name to say rather than saying Dr. Octopus every 5 minutes, but hey, that's just me. But these three characters are going to have a prominent role within the show, but the problem is they've already appeared in other Spider-Man films. Scorpion was in Homecoming, well, Matt Gargan, the person who becomes Scorpion, was in Homecoming briefly, and Doc Ock and Green Goblin, or Norman Osborn, they were in prominent roles in No Way Home. That's where the confusion was, because we already seen these characters, so why does Peter not remember these guys when he meets them in No Way Home? But then it was clarified, oh, it's a what-if scenario, it's kind of like going in that route, so that's fine, and that kind of clears up a lot of the problems with it and confusion. I think what we need to see really with this show is, I think, more of a grounded Spider-Man. Like, obviously this is Peter starting out and it's going to have like more of a beginning kind of route to it, and it's apparently going to get another season afterwards. I would like to see it more like kind of rookie based, more like kind of what a bit along the lines of Ultimate Spider-Man, the comic, not the show. The show is really bad. No, I was a big fan of the Ultimate Spider-Man comics. That was, when I was growing up, my Spider-Man, and like seeing him evolve from a teenager like in high school to like a full-fledged hero, and obviously dying at the end of that series, which is a great story, by the way, and just seeing him go up against like different versions. Like Green Goblin, for example, is not a guy in a costume, he's like an actual like Hulk size goblin. Venom is a science experiment, like instead of like a symbiote from outer space. So I really love those, and I would like to see it kind of go that kind of route, like a bit of Ultimate Spider-Man, like a young teenager going against odds, and I really would love to see them do that, like a proper Ultimate Spider-Man, but in the MCU what-if kind of scenarios. We're also getting like a lot of different costumes, which look great. Obviously, we've got the, from the looks of the regular MCU Spider-Man, but we've also got some different designs, which I think look really good. Especially the white and blue costume. That looks pretty darn cool, I'm not gonna lie. I really would love that if in the next Marvel Spider-Man game they add that. That'd be a really nice costume to see. The villains, so we've got a few different villains. We've got Doc Ock, we've got Scorpion, Rhino most prominently, looks like Chameleon, I'm gonna say, looks like on the right. Obviously we've got Norman Osborn, who is kind of going to be taking the Tony Stark role from the MCU, but in this continuity he's the guy that influences Peter a bit, so that could be really interesting. I don't know whether they would do Green Goblin, because we kind of have him already. He's fresh off like No Way Home, and that was not too long ago. They could, I mean, they're doing Doc Ock, so maybe we could see, I don't know, it's a possibility. We also have Charlie Cox returning as Daredevil, which, I mean, I've only seen season 1 of Daredevil, but man, what a show, and I can't wait to see him back like properly as Daredevil. Although admittedly, after watching that She-Hulk trailer, I don't like the yellow and red costume. It just looks so stupid. Like, I love that red costume he had in the Daredevil show. That was so perfect, and they've gone to the yellow and red one, which I guess it's something different, but nah, it's not for me. We also have Doctor Strange included in the show, which could be really really interesting. There's a bunch of like high schoolers probably going to be like Peter's friend. Don't know whether they're going to do like Mary Jane, Liz Allen. Maybe they could do Gwen Stacy. That would be nice, considering we haven't had Gwen Stacy properly since the Amazing Spider-Man films. And by the way, she was a better love interest than Mary Jane in the Sam Raimi films. Terrible character, that Mary Jane. Ooh, rough. But it's going to be a really interesting take on Spider-Man, I think. Like, Spider-Man has had, I would say, a pretty good track record for the most part in animation. Like, 61, it's very, like, meme-worthy, and there are tons of memes about it, and they are funny, to be fair. Like, in particular, the two Spider-Men pointing at each other. That is just, oh, it's a classic. I love the 90s one, even though it does have some flaws to it. Spectacular Spider-Man is, honestly, so good. I really want to rewatch that at some point. Ultimate Spider-Man, watched 2 episodes of it and I hated it. And I haven't seen the recent one. So yeah, for the most part though, like, pretty good. Much like Batman, he's had a pretty good run of animation shows. So hopefully this show keeps up that trend and offers us something really interesting and more of a grounded Spider-Man, kind of Ultimate Spider-Man meets the MCU. And I think if they go that route, I'll be really interested to see where this show goes. But it's not coming out for a bit yet, so it's probably the thing I'm most excited for coming out of San Diego Comic-Con, Marvel wise anyway, considering everything else. Although X-Men 97, that's gonna be one. Can we get a Spider-Man 90s revival, please? Finish off that storyline. That'd be fantastic. Yeah, it should be a fun show. Should be an interesting take on Spider-Man. Although Tom Holland is not voicing him, so I'm really curious to see who they get him as a replacement. Please get Josh Keaton again. He was fantastic in Spectacular Spider-Man. But you know, we don't know. But Freshman Year looks pretty good. I think it could be a really good show. As long as it's like not too coherent to the MCU stuff and it just like does its own thing, and it's basically a what if show, so it can kind of have more of a looser plot than the other MCU stuff. But yeah, should be good, really good stuff. Also include a great theme song, please. That's kind of a staple of Spider-Man shows.